Pentagon leaders General Mark Milley, Lloyd Austin, and General Kenneth McKenzie will testify before Congress tomorrow and Wednesday on the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. This will mark their first testimony since the Afghan government fell to Taliban control back in August. Joining us now to discuss is retired General Mick McGuire. General, thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Morning, Mercedes. How are you doing?
Well, you know, there's a lot going on here in Washington, D.C., and I think everyone's going to be watching these testimonies that are happening here on the Hill. So let me get your reaction. Our Pentagon leaders have a lot of questions to answer over the chaotic and disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. What would you want to ask them?
Well, I would first want to ask them why they decided to pull out of the country and depart Bagram before we had every American out of there. I think there was broad consensus that it was time to bring our troops home, but it was the most disorganized, uncoordinated withdrawal in military history. We've left people behind, turned over the keys to the prisoner camp at Bagram that housed nearly 6,000 of the world's worst terrorists. Our country is less safe because of it, and our adversaries around the world see weakness. That is not what we expect of our leaders, and I am asking everyone to hold them to account in these hearings, every congressional member, regardless of party.
So, General, there have been many Republicans who have called for General Milley to resign. Do you believe he should resign or be fired for the secret calls he made to China at the end of the Trump presidency?
I do. I've called on him to resign on this show multiple times, Mercedes. You know, when we relieve someone of command or senior leadership, it's about loss of confidence. The American public has lost confidence in General Milley. The Senate and House can subpoena him, have their hearings as they'd like. But inside the military, we have a system of justice under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, where a military tribunal and court-martial could be convened. And that's what I think would be appropriate here, to air all the facts in a nonpartisan political way. To get a board of peer officers to review his actions, both with the withdrawal from Afghanistan and the potential calls to China and what he said to our adversaries.
Yeah, I'm just shocked when I hear President Biden basically hailing a successful operation with this Afghanistan withdrawal. But how do we hold President Biden accountable for what we have seen, especially when you have 13 U.S. service members who have died? And let's listen to him. He unapologetically defends himself. I mean, he says there's no easy way to end. And let's listen.
But it's really, there's no picture book way to say, okay, the war's ended, let's get everybody out and we'll go home. There's a lot, I'm sure, along the line that there are things I could have done better, but I make no apologies for my proposals, how I'm proceeding, and why I think by the end of the year we're going to be in a very different place.
General, not apologizing. Your reaction to our commander-in-chief?
Yeah, he's derelict in his duty. He's been derelict on the border. He was derelict in his duty in his withdrawal here. I think we also need him to step down. But again, the people have a mandate to do that. We're not going to see an impeachment. I'm happy my colleague from Arizona, Andy Biggs, is asking for that. Mercedes, I'm in this Senate race because we need leaders that are going to hold people to account and understand that the power of the people is how we are accountable in this great nation to defend this republic. I can't believe this president is calling out Border Patrol agents in Del Rio and is exhibiting this level of animosity towards them, but shows no remorse about the 13 of my brothers and sisters in arms that were killed after his disastrous withdrawal from Kabul. It's absolutely terrible, and he needs to go as well.
Let me get your quick reaction. We saw the Taliban over this weekend hanging a dead body in the main square of a city in western Afghanistan. And we're trusting the Taliban to safely return Americans stranded in Afghanistan. I mean, can we trust the Taliban?
No, we cannot. And no one should be surprised by this. They've harbored the terrorists for years. They have kind of a détente that they establish with other groups that they're adversarial towards, but it's the classic, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. They're going to work together with terrorist organizations at which to strike at the heart of our great republic. and they're going to harbor them. The idea of them publicly hanging those that are their adversaries shouldn't surprise any of us. They believe in Sharia law. They certainly don't advance the rights of women and children in that country. And I think it's just appalling that the Democrats are walking away from the idea that we will defend those rights around the world when they are doing these kind of things.
Right. Well, thank you, General Mick McGuire, for joining us today.
Thanks, Mercedes.